You've checked all the boxes. You have career success, family success, financial stability. Yet deep down inside, you're feeling like something's missing. Despite having it all, like I had a 49th floor apartment, penthouse apartment in Manhattan, 2-3 houses, cars, beautiful wife, beautiful son. But I was a walking dead man. I was successfully discontent. By all and everyone's observations, they're going, oh, that dude's lucky. He's got it all. Yeah, on the outside, I had it all, but on the inside, I was slowly dying. Gentlemen, welcome to the Inside Man podcast. I'm Gary Kadi, and this show is all about helping high-achieving entrepreneurial men break free from burnout, find fulfillment, and lasting success. Ultimately, what I coined as a term called chronic joy and zero suffering. If you're feeling out there that you've been chronically suffering and having zero joy and looking at your life going, crap, how is this sustainable? Well, you're in the right place. In this episode, I'm going to talk about unlocking men's mental wellness, tools for a balanced mind, why it's important, the action steps you're going to take to improve your quality of life and achieve this levels of freedom and success. So look, the audience that this podcast is designed for is you're already successful. You've checked all the boxes. You have career success, family success, financial stability. Yet deep down inside, you're feeling like something's missing. Despite having it all, like I had a 49th floor apartment in Manhattan, penthouse apartment in Manhattan. It's 2-3 houses, cars, beautiful wife, beautiful son. But I was a walking dead man. I was successfully discontent. By all and everyone's observations, they're going, oh, that dude's lucky. He's got it all. Yeah, on the outside, I had it all, but on the inside, I was slowly dying. And it was like I was a skin bag walking around, unfulfilled, no joy. And meanwhile, I'm like, I can't spend all this money. I came from nothing and can't spend all this money. I, have a wife who loves me, but I'm drinking every night. We're dealt with all these cards and life and these circumstances, and we do our best to really hold it all together. But at some point, it just gets overwhelming. And where do we go? Inside. And where I went, tried to outmuscle, tried to outthink, tried to outrun. And I could do it. And then 30 turns into 40, and then you're hungover and you're wiped out. And then, you're trying to go on vacation. And when you're on vacation, you want to be at work, and you're actually at work when you're on vacation because you're, responding to emails, and, you don't put in that email that says, I will be out of the office and be in a place where they don't get emails. Listen, Elon fixed that problem. So we're good. You can get emails anywhere. You don't have to put that bullshit thing. You can just tell people. We can't even tell people that we are not available because we're taking time off. That's how deep this runs. And we know that this can't run forever. I know you might be a triathlete. I know you might, be a workaholic. I know you can work, drink people under the table, work people, outwork people. But at some point, you got to say to yourself, like, shit, I can't keep doing this stuff. It's got to stop. So over the years, I spent millions of dollars, and I spent countless hours with everybody. I mean, I went and held these cans to see what my brain was thinking, lie detectors. I've peed on trees. I've meditated with monks. I went to Tony Robbins fiestas. I've done everything, spent so much money, so much time. And over the years, I finally got to a place where I sold my company, 8 figures sale. I'm 43 pounds less. My wife and I are like teenagers, like we just met. I can't wait to share this work with the world. And this is the first episode to introduce this work that I've spent my whole life being a lab rat to find the best in the world, codify it in a way that's simple, because we don't need all these if I want to get healthy, I don't need a guy telling me about methylation and mitochondria. I just want to know what the freak to do and how to do it. And that's what I'm going to be doing over the endless future until my dash is over. The dash, September 19th, 1963, to the dash, to the day you slide in headfirst with sparks flying because you tore up life. You don't want to live in regret, but this approach that you've been taking doesn't always work. And here's what I've learned. right around 40 years old, I've seen the commonality in the thousands of men that I've worked with. There's this point where there's this turbulence that happens. For me, it was like my alcoholism at 44. I realized that I couldn't continue on at this pace. And I was drinking to drown my emotions because I didn't want to feel them. But I found that they could swim like freaking Michael Phelps. It's unbelievable. So look, you don't have to figure it out. I figured it out for you. And if you trust me enough, I'll give it to you freely on this podcast so you can go about it. And then there's ways for you to get it in deeper settings from the coaches themselves that gave it to me, a community, a book, all the good stuff that comes along with education. And that's what I'm here to do. My grandfather said, Gary, great teachers take the complexity of things and make them simple. And that's what I'm going to do. We're going to break it down. This sign behind me, this is the community in the book I have called Life on All Cylinders, High Achieving Men Living Without Limits. There's 8 cylinders. I love cars. I got a 911. I just picked it up. I love this freaking car. I designed it myself, went to Stuttgart with my wife. See, we're hugging. We still like each other a lot. Lots of yummy deliciousness between us. And it wasn't always that way. She came to me and said, listen, Mr. Party Fresh, that was my nickname. You don't have to quit drinking, but you can't stay here. So I'm like, okay. She was like an angel. Now she's the devil and she's against me. But really she wasn't. She was standing for me to be the best version of myself. And then we went to Stuttgart. I designed a car and we drove around Germany and Austria and the romantic route and all this good stuff in our second honeymoon recently. And that's what I'm wishing for you. Going from, this chronic suffering to chronic joy and zero suffering. I didn't think it was possible until I did. And when I said it was possible, then I found these 8 cylinders that once you look at and start turning into, instead of turning away, like my spinning instructor says, you can turn it up, turn into it. I want to give you the 8 cylinders now. So mental wellness. This is a foundation for clarity, focus, and resilience. And by the way, these are all interdependent. They're all independent and interdependent. They all help each other once you get them. They may sound a little overwhelming at first because there's 8 of them, but once they start working and we set it and forget it, you structure this. I have a way to structure this, that this becomes your lifestyle. You don't even have to think about it. It's not, you're going to put an end to, oh my God, my wife hates me. Let me go over there and give her, put some attention on that. Oh, my business is crashing. I got to run over there. Oh, I'm fat and drunk. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. No, you're going to have systems, processes, methodologies, simple ways to structure your life so these 8 cylinders work. And then you're going to fuel it just like that 911. I'm not putting shit fuel into that. I'm putting rockstar fuel into that. And it hums like freaking awesome. So here's the first one, mental wellness. You're going to get that clarity. You're going to get that focus. You're going to get that resilience. Physical health. There's usually 2 domains of guys that I work with, the obsessed that are running, ultra marathons. And that's, I've learned something, that needs to be looked at. Or you haven't picked up, you don't even know what a kettlebell is because when you worked out, there were dumbbells, right? So we're not even going to go there. It's not about hey, you got to do this, the other thing. You're just going to get started. And once we get you started and then you start feeling better, what happens is it overtakes you and you miss it when you don't have it. Same is true with health and wellness, physical health and wellness. Because if you don't have this vessel, if this vessel doesn't work, it messes with your mind. And then when your mind's messed, you go in and talk to your team. You come home at the end of the day frustrated and start talking to your wife and your kids in a certain way. You see how it's all interdependent and it's an ecosystem. And we're going to bust up and create an operating system for you that allows you to operate in a way that people are going to look and hey, there's something different about that guy. And that's what happened to me with my son and my wife. They can't wait to see me now. My team used to hate me. They used to hate me. I was a dictator. I was get that done. And because I was talking to these people, my wife, my son, my family, your workplace is going to get better. Your home life is going to get better. Why? Because the inside man goes inside and takes care of the self first. You can't give away something you don't have for yourself. And by the way, it's already there. It's like the David, Michelangelo took this marble that took away the marble that was the David that was already in there. The one in Florence I'm talking about. That's what we're going to be doing. It's not like you have to do more. You're going to actually do less. And you're going to remove things that allow for the true self, your true modern man, the guy who you've always wanted to be, and then all these things collapsed on, that's what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about peaceful parenting. You can't be an alpha at work and come be an alpha at home. It doesn't work. But we don't know. We're just cavemen. We're bonking people on the heads. We're taking it home and cooking it on the open flame. That's what we're just built on. We're not going to be doing that anymore. But if you don't know better, you can't do better. And so I spent all this time trying to figure all this stuff out. And I'm going to give it to you in simple ways. Fulfilling entrepreneurship. I don't know about you, but I hated going into the business I actually created because it became different than what I wanted it to be. And I lost control. Why? Because I became more successful. And guess what? I had to deal with different things that I'm not built for. And do I like to raise my hand and ask for help? Hell no. I know we don't. We stuff things down. We look for these ways of numbing ourselves because it's all pain stuffed down and it needs to get out. And guess what? Men are doers. Women have emotional health and well-being. Why? Because they get it out. And we don't like hearing that crap. We don't know what to do with it. We're going to talk about that. Same as with kids. You got to be able to listen and receive with empathy. And that's not something I was ever taught. My wife goes, Gary, can you have some empathy? Can you have some compassion? And you know what I said to her? I do, damn it. I have a lot of compassion. Let's go. Right? So you can get that we have no freaking clue. But guess what? It's in there because once you tap into it, you're going, wow, this actually feels pretty good. Right? So we're going to talk about fulfilling entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about generational wealth. Now, I know everybody on this call has you're not on this call if you don't have money or a business that's successful. Of course, we always grapple. We want better, but ultimately, how do you create generational wealth for because you're in the family tree? The downstream is if they look back at Finding Your Roots. If you ever seen that TV show, they look at the people and how it altered the people that are beyond the ancestors, that the legacy that they held off. Imagine that your family tree is profoundly different for your kids and their kids' kids and their kids. They'll never even know you. They may know you by name, but you altered the difference. I like breaking the chain of scarcity. For me, that happened. I came from nothing. My family, I would have been working at E.R. Squibb & Sons in New Jersey for 50 years as a carpenter and got retirement. That's what, it's like what Brown can do for you. What Brown can do for me is give me my box of retirement and, then I'll wither away. No, that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is creating generational wealth so you can enjoy it today and have it for many, many more years to come. Producing results. We usually produce results by force rather than power. And this distinction is really, really fantastic and allows us to have joy, not come home at the end of the day just spent face down, face planting on a bed. We're talking about producing results that are more effortless, more aligned to a purpose, more joyful, and other people doing it. Decentralizing you out of your business, getting you out of the middle of the damn thing so everything doesn't have to go through you and you can have peace and freedom and the right people are actually doing the work. Now, the last thing is I want to talk about living authentically because most of us, we throw our mask on in the morning, we throw our armor on and we usually wake up, and I used to do this. What fine hell is going to find me today, is looking for me today, right? And what I had was, there's two types of living on the inside man. The inside man has a place for a chronic state of being that's underneath like the veneers, the mask, the armor. That's like your true authentic self. And by the way, it's not the one that is beating you up, telling you suck, telling you don't have enough, telling that you have. That's not it. That's just the voice in your head. We're going to get into that too. This is like someone who is deeply connected, someone who is profoundly empathetic. This is somebody, and by the way, that might sound weird to you because like that doesn't even exist for most of us right now. And I promise you, I cry almost every day. If you would have told me 5, 10, 15 years ago that I would be moved to tears of joy and like, I'd tell you you're crazy. And I used to think like that was a soft guy. No, you can be a very strong man and be moved to tears. And people are attracted to that because my son and my wife go, who is this guy? He got bonked on the head, right? So it's pretty cool. Living authentically is a sense of connection to something greater. It's really, and whether it's faith, nature, some people have outdoors as this. but it's living authentically and being connected to something bigger than just a grind it out and get her done kind of dude, right? So let's get into it. The first segment is I want to identify mental health roadblocks. So the root cause of feeling this emptiness is what I was touching on earlier. Men are doers. Men get shit done, GSD. You're going to hear a lot about GSDing here, and usually prioritize work and achievements over emotional health and personal growth. And the reason why life expectancy for men is a lot less is because of this exact reason, I believe. I study blue zones and, really look, I was going to say blue states. No, we're not, no politics here. We are staying with the inside man. And, what happens is women connect emotionally. Men, we don't. We shut it down. And actually what happens is when we have emotions coming up, we stuff it down. And then this is where porn happens. Gambling happens. We're searching for the dopamine pump. We're searching for that shot of dopamine that's going to give us that little relief. That's why Tony Robbins did so well. I do a lot of work with Tony's franchisees, and one of my best friends is friends with Tony. And Tony really taps into that adrenaline, that dopamine hit. And when you're there, you get high as a kite, but then it falls out. And that didn't sit right. It was good. I used to do Tony's work all the time. I've done many, many transformational programs. But what I was most interested in, and that's what you're going to get from me, is the sustainability. Information without implementation has no value. What you're going to get on this podcast is you're going to be getting boatloads of structure and implementation. And you're going to get high, but it's an inside high, not fist pumping, music jacking, saying you can do it. And then the voice in your head 2 days later starts chirping and it's all gone. And you forgot that you even were there. That's not what this is. This is chronic joy, zero suffering. And it's going to take a little work on the front end. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to shift a few things. Yes, please plug that in. If not, you could just listen passively and have some fun. We're going to definitely laugh. We're going to be talking about all kinds of cool shit like cars and sports and, chicks and all the stuff. But this is about really restoring control over you saying how it's going to go rather than life controlling you. If you're chasing success to avoid deeper fears of insecurities, like if you're telling yourself you're not enough, my friend, you're going to meet Jim Dew here. Jim Dew taught me how to create generational wealth. 8 figures. I'm a street kid from Jersey that was told to go to work at E.R. Squibb & Son as a carpenter and worked there 50 years. There was no way. You do the math. You can't get there. Jim taught me how to put it all together, and we're going to teach you. I'm going to teach you. See, I have all these mentors that you're going to learn about, but I galvanize them, I codify them and give it to you in a simple way. And then I'm going to be bringing them on. I'm going to be bringing them in. We're going to go deeper in certain subjects. It's going to be a blast. And all these men and women have one thing in common. They're into health. They're into mental health. They're into, wealth, all these things, parenting. It's all an inside job. That's what's common to us all. It's an inside job. And we never go there for men because the barriers for high achieving men is the pressure to maintain an image of success. So it's always external. And where do we feel? Internal. And we don't give ourselves permission to feel. We stuff it down. Then we try to get relief through porn, gambling, whatever we do. Business is just one big adrenaline rush, and by the way, anger is too. I didn't realize how much pent up anger I had. It came out sideways because it was just steam bubbling up, waiting to burst. There's an overemphasis on external validation, like awards, income, status, the type of car you drive, the person you marry, all those things are really about how you look to the outside world. And what I'm suggesting to you today is if you get anything from this, there's this world that's inside when you begin to take a look. And I know it's scary, and I'm going to make it super safe for you. I promise I'm going to take you through step by step. It's not going to be a fight, giving you a fire hose worth of stuff. We're going to break it apart each week, and I'm going to give you one thing and one thing and one thing. And all of a sudden you're going to go, I tried that and it worked. I tried that, I feel better. Tried that, my wife likes me more. I tried that, my son can't wait to go. My son called me up to go to a baseball game. Like, and he hasn't called me in weeks. So these are the types of things that are really rich, but we're like grinding it out, right? So we want to also overcome something called the stigma for seeking help. We want to reframe the mental wellness as the ultimate performance tool. It's like tuning a high performance car. Tuning up your mind optimizes your life. It's not about like raising your hand. The pandemic, we had to get help. We needed help because we didn't know what PPP was. We didn't know what all these things are, right? Back in the day. So it forced the guys who couldn't seek help to seek help. So it cracked a little bit of us, but we go right back to, I got to have it all handled. I got to know it all, right? If I don't know it, I'm from Jersey, okay? You're going to get to know me. I'm going to talk about Jersey and the culture that is. You come out of the womb in Jersey and you go, you better know shit. And if you don't know it, make it up so you think you know it. So people, that's how you survive in Jersey, right? You survive by knowing shit, right? And, the thing about that I want you to get is there's men out there that were absolutely adverse to this. They were like, there's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going to be vulnerable. There's no way I'm going to cry. There's no way that any of this is going to happen. And, I think about a guy that I worked with in Buffalo, New York, and his business was like upside down. He couldn't collect money. He had like accounts receivable out the back. Yeah, I couldn't keep a team. And I just looked at him square in the eye. And I said, his name is Jim. And I said, Jim, in life and in business, you only get what you deserve. You don't get what you deserve. Because he's like, I deserve this. You get what you think you deserve. Nothing more, nothing less. I said, exactly what you have going on in your world right now is what you think you deserve. That's why it is that way. And so we don't realize that there's this chronic way of being and this social way of being. The social way of being says, I'm out here, I deserve to have it all, and my family should just do what I say, and I can just go, be myself. And this isn't yourself. This is a version that you built to survive in the world. Through this podcast, we're going to unpack this thing so that you can actually see there's some other thing in there that's underneath. And I say thing right now because none of us know what it is until you get there. And when you get there, you still don't know. So that's a whole nother world. And we'll save that for another podcast episode. But this is about digging in. That mental health comes with introspection, recalibration, not from grinding harder, okay? Grinding harder, it's not that. So I want to give you some tools right now that you can apply right away that, they might sound like, oh, I've heard this before, but I want you to come to this podcast in a way because the mind is going to want to do this. This is where you're going to lose the value of the podcast. It's going to say, I do that. I heard about that. This is like something else. The mind does not like learning something new. So I want to, before I start teaching, and you're always going to get teaching from me, because I think when we learn simple things as guys and we have a power of example, not a lot of us, like my dad was not a power of example. If I followed him, I would not be where talking to you today, right? Not that he was a bad man. And we'll talk about healing our relationship with our fathers, because that's a big one in an episode. But the key thing here is this, is that meditation and mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose, okay? And inside of meditation and mindfulness, it creates something that was the number one game changer for me, okay? And I could not sit for 2 seconds. I was the guy who worked 24/7, 365, would go on vacation, work when I was there. Wherever I was working. Even when I was talking to my wife. And my wife goes, we're not talking about business ever again, because she loves business. She's an entrepreneur. I met her. She has a spa. But she's like, our whole world is consumed by this business. I want to have a life outside of this. And she was a stand for a greater conversation. I'm glad she was, because now we talk about shit that really matters, right? So meditation, mindfulness, there's headspace, there's calm, very short. And do it before you roll over in the morning and pick up your phone and start cranking out emails like I used to do. Don't do that. If you have to leave your phone out of your room, by the way, that's probably why it's affecting your sleep, the blue light on there. Sachin will talk about that. that's keeping you up and interrupting your sleep. Create space through mindfulness and meditation. It's 4 minutes. We're going to do bite-sized things here. Just getting you on the court. One of my favorite things to do in life was I love to go to every stadium. So one of my as a kid, I used to see Michigan, the big house. I was like, I got to go to the big house. And meanwhile, so I'm in the big house and I'm in the stands with 105,000 people. And I'm going, you should have threw that ball. You should have blocked it. And I'm talking about the game. Now, if I was on the court of play, if I was out of the stands, walked down, got on the court of play and I had a 250-pound linebacker coming at me, I'm not talking about the game. I'm in the game. So I want you to get in the game when I give you teachings and tools. And I'm going to give you things that are simple, easy. It's going to piss you off. It's going to drive you crazy. You're going to go, and I've never been able to do it. But if you just do one thing, if you do one thing, let's call that 1%, and you eventually get to 100 things, that's 100% difference than trying to, change everything all at one time. We're not going to do that. We're going to change 1% each time. And before you know it, you're going to have 100% of transformation. And that's how you get there. Now, it took me 10 years and $1 million. It's not going to take you that because I've gotten rid of all the BS so you don't have to find BS coaches. I've gotten to the key core things in the 8 cylinders that we're going to talk about. And now I'm going to give them to you in a teaching. So get out of the stands, get in the court, watch the voice going, I already know this. I've already told this. This is like, Men 101. No, just are you meditating once a day? I like Calm. That's LeBron's app. It's great. It's easy. The lady, you just close your mind and there is no right way to meditate. Just sit there. But what it's doing is it's separating your thoughts from who you really are and giving you this little glimmer of space that starts opening up. And once you crack it, it starts cracking open and open and open. And all of a sudden you can fill new things in there. See, a vacuum of empty space, the universe doesn't like that. So if you try to put new things onto no space, you're not going to transform yourself. All you're going to be doing is overwhelming yourself. I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to have you a transformed environment. In order to do that, you got to crack and open space. Okay. So that's key. The next thing is journaling. Get yourself a little journal. Here's the way I journal because I hated journaling. And I'm like, yeah, I heard that journal. No, I have 2 journals on my bedside. One to my son, one to my wife. And I just share with them how, different things. So when I'm dead, they can read that and I'm speaking to them. And then I'm actually sharing my feelings in there. Maybe something I didn't say to them, but I wrote it down. Here's what starts to happen. Instead of me writing it down, I actually start talking to them about the things they want to talk about. Right now, I'm too busy for that shit. My inbox is overfull, you got it. I can't even say it. It's filled to the max. I'm putting out 1,000 fires. I'm making payroll. Forget that. So journaling is another space creator in a big way. The next thing is therapy and coaching. I want to frame therapy differently. Men, by the way, 90% of men don't believe in therapy, won't go there. If it's called coaching, then it's accessible. You're going to meet Dave Adamusco, who changed my life. I have serious mental illness in my family. My mom, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. My uncle died, and I'll tell you his story. He was part of the mob and lost his fortune to a gumad who he was high and overdosed in Miami. And she signed over everything to him, and his whole family lost their empire. Interesting stuff. But therapy and coaching, therapy is not a negative stigma anymore. Michael Phelps is really a proponent of this. And I was against it, but I was at the end of my rope. In 2017, I didn't want to live and I didn't want to die. And I remember the Shawshank Redemption. It was like, you either better get busy living or you better get busy dying, right? So I wanted to get busy living because, as an alcoholic, I was living a slow suicide. That's what alcoholism is. I'm just like, I was either going to go to jail or I was going to, hurt somebody or hurt myself, right? So I got sober and I didn't know how to deal with, all the stuff. And I met Dave, who is my coach and therapist. And he positions himself as a coach. He's trained in therapy, marriage therapy, and what is known as IFS, internal family systems. It takes care of the relationship to yourself first, then your relationship with your partner or spouse, then your relationship with your workplace. It's so incredibly powerful. And I've tried everything and nothing worked until I found this man and this distinction. So I really want to introduce my coaching program. It's a Life on All Cylinders. And you're going to have access to that because you're on the podcast. And you'll look for opportunities. You'll have opportunities to get the book, Life on All Cylinders, and that's coaching in there. It has all of my mentors in there. The 8 cylinders are in there spelled out. You're going to have access to a coaching program. This is to restore balance and purpose. See, if you're in monologue, a monologue is you with yourself. But if you're in dialogue, a coach can give you perspectives that you can't see. And the worst coach is your spouse because they actually have a lot of the answers. They know, but we can't hear it from them. But if you hear it from another man who's been, basically you're going to hear about my 4 lives. This is Gary 4.0, almost died 4 times. You'll get like you can actually live this way. Because if this kid from Jersey could do it, you can certainly do it. So again, I want to help you restore the 8 cylinders. First is going to be mental wellness. So really getting your head straight, clarity, focus, resilience. I don't know about you, but if I was diagnosed to be ADHD, I'd be like, hey, can you text me? My wife would go, can you text me? And I've already done, 6 other texts. And she's like, hey, you forgot to text me. It's like that kind of stuff. It's like laser focus, because once you remove the clutter in the mind and you create space and you're not just, grinding, there's like this beautiful thing that happens in the entire body called, and I didn't know this, I was in a sympathetic fight or flight state to now a parasympathetic state where my body is at rest. So I'm going to live longer because I'm not grinding out cortisol 24/7, 365, adrenaline, dopamine, all that stuff pumping through your veins, really weakens the endothelial lining. I'm giving you some terms that I friggin' learned. I'm not a doctor, but this is the shit I learned. And I'm giving it away to you. When the endothelial goes down, that's when heart attacks and strokes happen and cognitive issues and ED and all that shit. We're going to have, my man, we're going to be talking about erectile dysfunction, testosterone, all the stuff that men deal with, right? Gio Espinoza is the guru of it. He is the man, and he's a part of our group. So mental wellness, physical health, we're going to have Sachin. Oh, the mental wellness, by the way, is David Adamusco and Caroline Falanga and myself. I'm in all of these 8 domains. I'm the host, I'm the facilitator, I'm the codifier, I'm the simplifier. And then we're going to have deepening areas of actual distinctions regarding mental wellness, physical health, how to get on the court, how to maintain it. I lost 43 pounds. I couldn't drop a minuscule of an ounce. And I learned that my body wasn't processing food. Even though I ate healthy, I couldn't drop weight. We're going to talk about metabolic resets and the key thing to reducing weight, keeping it off, and not going back to donuts and mayonnaise like I was eating all the time. We're going to talk about peaceful parenting, how to get there. And Heather Andrews is a guru in the area. She's been a nanny to Fortune 20 company CEOs in New York City and knows high achieving men and women, parents, and then how to get them connected to their kids. And she's got real life examples. She's did it with my son and my wife when he was diagnosed with autism. And now my son is off the autism spectrum. This is profound. And these are the types of transformations that are available to you. We're going to talk about the peaceful parenting, the fulfilling entrepreneurship, not just going to work, but really enjoying it. Can't wait to go to work. Generational wealth. We're going to talk about virtual family offices, and Jim Dewey is going to powerfully unpack that. And I'm going to give you how it works and what to do, and so that you can set it and forget it. And you're not going to be sitting there waiting on the stock market to have your, life change. And we're going to talk about producing results effortlessly. We're going to talk about how to produce results in a way that is not going to burden you down and give you space and keep the space and then living authentically, ripping the damn mask off, ripping the armor off, that 100-pound armor that you carry every day, and you're going to be living a life. And you're going to start small. Here's what I want you to do. Here's your actionable step. Pick one cylinder to focus in on this week. Mental health, physical health. One thing I would suggest, just download Headspace or Calm and breathe and do one meditation, one 5-minute meditation this week. Reflect on how balancing that one cylinder may have a ripple effect across other ways. That could be your bonus. You can journal about what you experienced there, because that's going to begin to crack and interrupt. We need to interrupt the operating system that you have right now and put in an iOS, internal operating system, that's going to work. So your life is like a high performance vehicle. 911, baby. Think 911. When all the cylinders are firing, you're fueling it with the good stuff. You can truly achieve peak performance on a sustainable level. And I really challenge you to explore mentorship and programs like Life on All Cylinders, or go online and look around and really take a proactive step to one thing: chronic joy and zero suffering. I'll see you in episode 2.